If your wife has said she's done talking or there's no point anymore, this episode will change how you think about your relationship dynamic forever. Because the problem isn't that she stopped talking, the real danger is how you respond to the silence. And once you understand the difference between handling this phase in a way that keeps the door cracked open for reconnection, or quietly pushing it closed without ever saying another word, it will become a lot easier for you to work on the right things to get your relationship back to the happy, thriving state that you want. Before we jump in, if you appreciate me making videos like this, let me know by giving the like button a quick tap. When your relationship goes quiet, there can almost be this strange feeling or strange sense of temporary relief. Why? Because at least the arguing has stopped and the tension feels lower on the surface. There are fewer blowups, so part of you wants to believe that maybe things are calming down. But that calm is misleading because silence in a marriage is rarely a signal for peace. It is almost always withdrawal. What's really happening is not that things are resolved, it's that the emotional energy has been pulled back. Emotional energy doesn't announce itself when it leaves a room. It just sort of fades under the surface over time. She didn't stop talking because everything was okay, but because, quite frankly, talking stopped working. And you can probably sense that, and that's why you're watching this video, which is a great start. At some point along the way in your relationship, conversations began to feel exhausting instead of connecting, and they felt repetitive or circular. They felt so heavy at times that instead of feeling closer afterward, she felt more drained. So when her nervous system finally had enough of what felt unsafe and what felt overwhelming, it did pretty much the only thing it can do for self-protection. It shut down. It almost always does not mean she doesn't care about you anymore. In reality, silence often means that she cared for a very, very long time and she just ran out of emotional capacity. The common thought of most men is that if they are talking with her, this is communicating. But what women experience is something very, very different. Over time, though, as things start to get more rocky in your relationship, that's when the conversations stop feeling like emotional exchanges to her. Instead, they start feeling like negotiations. I mean, look, I am 100% guilty of this being a terrible habit of mine when I was younger and didn't know what the hell I was doing with women. Combine that with my younger stubbornness, and it just became a repetitive recipe for disaster in all my relationships. Let me know in the comments if this scenario sounds eerily familiar with what you have been going through recently or have ever gone through. She brings up how she feels. The conversation slowly turns into why she shouldn't feel that way, or how you're trying, or how things aren't as bad, or how she's misunderstanding you. Does that sound familiar at all? Honestly, even me just saying that, I can flash back to so many conversations in my life where I followed that exact pattern. So I get it. None of your intent is malicious, and most of it comes from a place of panic and care to fix things. But from her side, it starts to feel like her emotions aren't being held or cared for at all. There's a massive difference between understanding intellectually and feeling safe emotionally. This is what makes it so frustrating for us men, because when she goes quiet and we can sense something is wrong, our thoughts start racing and our brain is shaking, telling us to say something and fix it before it's too late. I had to go through every heartbreak I did in my life to finally say enough is enough. I knew I was doing things wrong, and I had to take a long period of time learning what the right things are to do. Those actions we take as men when we have that internal fix this before it's too late reaction are the exact ones that obliterate emotional safety. So from your perspective, when you try to push for reassurance and clarity from her, you're also trying to force a resolution to a problem that you really don't have any understanding of. At the end of the day, you just want to save the relationship, but she feels emotional crowding. And because you're coming from a state of panic, it amplifies the very environment she shut down talking in. So I just want to quickly touch on 3 reactions that most men fall into, at least one of them or a combination of all 3 of them, when silence appears on her end that really start to drive her further away emotionally and puts your relationship in the danger zone of being lost for good. The first reaction is interrogation disguised as concern. You start to ask more questions. What's wrong? What happened? Why are you upset? Are you done? Where is this going? They seem harmless and like you care because they are addressing the situation as you sense it in the relationship, but it starts driving more weight onto her to produce answers she doesn't even fully have yet. The second reaction is urgency disguised as love. All of a sudden, where you were complacent in the relationship for months or years, and honestly, in a few scenarios and men that I've coached, even decades, you suddenly want to fix everything now. You want to talk about how much she means to you and how serious this is now. And I get it. Obviously, it doesn't mean a lot to you, but you have to know that urgency doesn't feel loving when she's emotionally overwhelmed. You're basically just throwing double the amount of emotional gravity onto her shoulders. The third reaction is collapse disguised as vulnerability. You open up more to her, but you're opening up from a place of fear. This is playing with fire because you start to get on a roll of sharing how lost you feel, how broken you are, how scared you are of losing her. And this feels like you are being vulnerable to her, but is actually collapsing on your part. Vulnerability can be a powerful way to nurture connection when it's done right. And I have a video right here that helps you understand how to properly be vulnerable. But because you're essentially giving her fear-based vulnerability, it's asking her to hold you when she is already emotionally overloaded. So if you can't interrogate her, you can't force her to rush and fix things, and you can't just unload all of your feelings and fears to try and get her to connect back, what is her silence actually asking you to do? Her silence is not asking you to disappear, but what she's often unconsciously asking you to do is show that you can remain steady without needing something from her at that point in time. She's going to be subconsciously watching how you carry yourself when she pulls back and how you hold the emotional space. In the majority of situations I've seen, she wants you to be able to lead her and re-engage her emotions again, especially if you have a long history together and you built something really special. Generally, there is a long period of emotional disconnection that has taken place for her to just give all that up. So if you can learn how to be an emotional leader in your relationship, that's going to start to trigger her emotions back towards reconnecting with you. There was a point in my own life during my early 20s into my early 30s where I genuinely believed talking more was the answer when things would start to go sideways in my relationships. Not even just talking more, put together all three of those panic reactions I talked about above, and that was me, like clockwork. Pleading, just trying to push anything I could to fix things, and collapsing like a straw hut in a hurricane, trying to pour my emotions out to get them to stay. When my ex-fiance left me at the end of that decade of failed relationships, I was like, yeah, there was clearly something wrong with my philosophy. And I was right. There were so many things wrong with my philosophy and how I was approaching things. So believe me when I tell you, if you think, nah, Jeff, like my wife or long-term girlfriend is different. She wants me to pour my heart out and be so vulnerable with her and put all of that emotion onto her, and it's going to help her reconnect with me. I urge you to reconsider that. Again, check out this video here on being vulnerable with her. It will help you out a lot. Women need emotional safety before talking about fixing everything becomes possible. And doing all of those things that I did wrong and that are a natural reaction for you as well will decimate the emotional climate even further. This is the moment most marriages and long-term relationships are lost. Not through screaming fights, but through misleading silence and not having any clue how to properly lead as the man in your relationship. She's not evaluating how hard you're trying, but she is evaluating whether being close to you feels safe emotionally. If you're dealing with silence in your relationship right now, or things have just been very rocky for a long time, the most important thing you can do is understand what phase your relationship is actually in and what not to do if you want reconnection to remain possible. So I want to invite you to go watch my free relationship rebuild masterclass. That is linked in the description below. It's going to walk you through the step-by-step blueprint to give you the fastest way to be able to lead her back to reconnection in your relationship. I break down what truly matters in saving your relationship and how to get you where you want to go without even having to convince her of anything. Click the link in the description to watch the free masterclass today. If this video helped you see things in a new light, give the like button a tap and subscribe to the channel as well. I'll see you in the next episode.